Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to just give a general collective energy update following yesterday's full moon eclipse. So today is July 17th, but whenever you watch this message should be fine. Those of you who watch tarot readings or are familiar with tarot, then you know that tarot is sort of timeless and there aren't any restrictions to time. We all move through and process energies differently. So take the messages how they resonate. This video is not going to be specific to any sign or element. Again, this is just going to be for the general collective following the July 2019 full moon lunar eclipse, which we had yesterday on the 16th. So I'm really excited to get into this spread. These are energies that sort of we've been going through or feeling, maybe for a while. For some of us, since the beginning of the year, if not before that. This is sort of, I'm not very well versed in astrology. It's something that I'd like to learn more about, but just sort of from the little bit of learnings or gleanings that I have gotten, we're sort of at the tail end of a series of eclipses that have been going on for several years now. And sort of, I say all that to say, it's almost as if we're in a culmination period. For a lot of people, I think people may be experiencing two opposite ends of a spectrum right now. I think for some people, it may be quite a hectic time. And whether that's actually things going on environmentally around you or just sort of internally, things going on inside of you, and whatever the case may be there, it's really, the universe or spirit or source or yourself, your inner knowing, giving you a push or giving you a nudge about, something or someone, including yourself, that is changing or transforming. For others, I do feel that this eclipse, if not immediately, then over the coming days, weeks, months, and years, will really start to feel like, it'll sort of start to feel like the downside, but not in a bad way, rather in a good way. If you think of the climax, right, of change, right, the pinnacle of change and what that sort of might look like, you might be on the other side of it. And I think that's really positive energy. This is energy that I've been feeling and talking about since the beginning of the year, going into fall 2019 and ultimately into 2020. So I'm using the Neo Tarot deck for this reading. This deck I really love because, and I'll show you the book here, it has really great meanings and self-care tips. So I've used this deck for a few readings, I believe, maybe some of the initial ones. I use it for client readings a bit. I use it for readings for myself. I don't always in the videos go into depth into the meanings in the book and the self-care tips. I may do that here for some of the cards. So this video might be a little bit longer than most. And I also like to just give my own interpretation of the cards first. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Starting off the spread, so this is sort of like what's top of mind for you right now, is the Tower card. And I want everyone to take a look at this because unlike most Tower cards, this has a single figure, not a couple, sort of as you would typically see. And you also see the eye of intuition there with the hand pointing down. And, if you're biblical or Christian, you might call that the hand of God or, whatever. But I say that all to say, whatever may be, again, changing or transpiring for you right now, it's sort of like, not to sound trite or to sound like things are necessarily predestined, but it's sort of like it's part of your path. There's a purpose behind whatever it is that may be going on. And I just feel like it's really important for people to understand that. For those of you who may have been sort of in the latter group that I was describing, I think you sort of already know and understand that. For others of you who may be going through, a lot of change right now, or, if things are particularly trying, or, you just sort of can't wrap your head around what's transpiring, that message is for you as well. That's what's transpiring. So the guidance here is really just to let go and let it flow. And, on that note, I am going to get into the description of the Tower card because and I just flipped right to it. So in the upright, it says, you're in the midst of an intense transformational process. When shit goes down, that's when we can have profound realizations. When the destruction of our stable identity gives way to the creation of liberating new ones that transcend the identities and beliefs we've built up. The way you deal with this jolt to your stability will determine how hard you fall. Lean on your ability to adapt, evolve, and stay connected to your highest truth. And then the self-care tip says, ask a friend to come round and hug you, really hug you. Lay down in a little spoon position while listening to some comforting music and let yourself feel completely held by the universe as well as your friend. Think about all the things you've been through, things that felt life or death at the time. Deeply acknowledge the courage and belief it took to overcome them. Know that your collective experiences have made you more adaptable and resilient. So, you know, those of you who have tuned in, or those of you who may know me, you know that I like to talk about these messages, or sometimes some of these things haven't been recorded yet, but likely will be soon in the future. But I really like to look at it at the micro level, right? The personal. Then you can sort of expand these messages out, because energy is shared. And again, energy is universal. So we're not sort of existing or living or learning or evolving or growing or any of that in a vacuum. We're all sort of collectively on a collective conscious journey. You know, whether you're sort of a fully spiritually awakened conscious knowing being or not, in which case you're very far along, or whether, you know, you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know, and, you know, maybe perhaps just coming into your spiritual awakening, or perhaps you don't even realize that you are on a spiritual path, and that's okay. For some people, that is their path as well. So there's definitely no judgment there, you know, but I do want to sort of emphasize that, you know, especially for those people who may be like, oh, what's going on with Mercury retrograde right now? You know, sure, there may be like little kinks or quirks that are happening there that's tied to that. But more holistically, if you're looking at, you know, more significant change in your life, even if that's just change of perspective, or if that's change of scenery, if you made a big move, or, you know, if this is change in your family dynamic and relationships, or in your friends, just understand that there is a much higher power that's sitting here helping to guide you through what this is going to look like for you. So it does require the breaking down of old foundations and old things, but it necessarily implies that there's something new coming in for you here. So the second card we have in the spread is the Seven of Swords. And typically, you know, this card implies a bit of sneaky or sort of deceptive energy. In this spread, in this position, in the second position here, this card is actually the self-care strategy to try. So this will likely be another card that I go into the book specific meaning. What I'm sort of getting off of this card, and I'll just note that here from the top of the deck, we have the Three of Swords in reverse. So again, you have that eye of intuition. And this is just saying that any of those past disappointments, hurts, sadnesses, whatever, grievances, you're moving on from that. And the guidance here is to not focus on that. It's really to put your energy towards whatever future it is that you want to create and manifest, right? Because that's the kind of energy that we're coming into now. And I took part in an exercise today. There's another reader whom I watch a lot. Her name is the Ghetto Nun. And she had all of us divine feminines, I'm just going to sit this card down, you know, sort of put out a prayer of positivity out into the universe today at a 1:11 locally for us. So I just finished doing that right before I started recording this video. And I really like, you know, sort of visualization or group exercises like that, again, because collective energy is real. And so the more of us that sort of partake and believe and participate in it, the stronger it is. And this is true, again, not just on the micro level from, you know, those of us who subscribe and watch that reader who participated in that particular exercise, or whatever, extrapolate that out to anything else you might participate on that level. But more globally, right, it's incumbent on sort of all of us to really get aligned with who we are, what it is, why we chose to come here and incarnate right now, what our purpose is, how it is that we're here to serve. And we have to have faith and trust that we will be on the right path, that there really is nothing wrong, right? Even the things that have happened in the past that are now being torn down, so to speak, there was a reason for those things, but there was a reason in a season, and that season has now come to an end. So with this Seven of Swords energy, sorry, that was sort of a long way around of getting back to this card here in the second position, the Seven of Swords. I'm sort of getting like, this is you stealing away with your own future. This is you saying, I'm no longer gonna let the past disappointments, right? Or with the Five of Swords there, and you have Five of Swords here, I'm no longer gonna be internally conflicted. I'm not going to, overthink myself into the point of paralysis, right? Which is something that I've, personally suffered from before. And, could fear doing again in the future, but if I focus my energy there, that's the result that I'm gonna get. Whereas if I think, no, I learned those lessons in the past, I'm now better equipped to make better, faster decisions now moving forward, that's what I'm going to beget. And I just saw 1111 as I said that. So going back to the book for the Seven of Swords here, because again, this is the self-care strategy to try in this particular spread for this card's placement. So it says, spontaneous acts are always fun, but they are usually not the wisest. Traditionally, this card signals betrayal and deception, but having ulterior motives doesn't always, and in fact should never, mean acting unethically. If you are acting unethically, check yourself now, but maybe you simply need to go behind your boss's back in order to interview for a new position. Maybe you're just acting in a way that throws caution, consequences, and the opinions of others to the wind, and we all need to do that every once in a while. So similarly to how I sort of opened up the video talking about sort of those two dichotomies or opposite ends of the spectrums, whatever, binaries, this is sort of saying the same thing, right? People who, maybe having a rougher go of it right now, it could be if you're coming from a deceptive or sneaky or illusory energy, even towards yourself, but especially towards other, you're reaping those karmatic effects. That's what the Tower is about. Conversely, if you are operating in a way that is for your betterment, that is following your truth, your intention, your path, you are reaping the results of that as well. And in that way, that's why I'm sort of saying I was getting a very positive read off of that Seven of Swords card. So we have next coming up in the reading, in the third position, we have the Strength card coming up actually here in the reverse. The Strength can signify the sign of Leo, which is the season that we'll be entering into shortly, I believe, if we're not already in it. But at any rate, this card in this position is what might be stopping you. So the Strength card in reverse, I think this is, again, going back to, sort of all of that mind energy that's going on here with the swords. And just remembering that, we have to believe first and trust first in our own strength. Otherwise, we're lost, right? If we can't follow our own sort of truth and know what it is, there's no way that we'll be able to build the structures and foundations, and that includes people, places, and things, right? Relationships, work, your, tangible sort of environment, the world that you create for yourself. If you don't know what it is that you know, right, that your higher self knows, how can you possibly hope to, propel the rest of those things into existence? How can you hope to execute that vision if you actually don't really have a clear vision of what that is? So I think that's what this Strength card coming out here is saying. And it's saying to, you have to have strength, you have to trust, you have to, and for some people, this may require sort of taming that inner beast. I've been seeing a lot, especially during this retrograde season, that there's a lot of energy around healing, and perhaps like maybe some trauma issues for people, but more specifically it's around communication, friends and family, right? Or even family, you can extrapolate out to anything. We create our own family. Some people look at their work family as their family, what have you. But I have been seeing, right, that people are just maybe a little quick with the trigger finger in terms of their communication. And a lot of guidance that I've been giving recently, you know, is like sometimes it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. So I do think that, again, it's sort of, and I do this a lot in my readings, it's sort of a double-edged meaning here. You have to find the strength within to move forward, right? And to move forward confidently and honoring your truth. But you also don't have to bulldoze everybody else down in the process, right? Because that's not what we're here to do either. We're here to build each other up and help build community. Certainly have boundaries in place, yes, but ultimately, you know, we are a community-based species. And again, we share a collective sort of human spiritual consciousness, if you will. Okay, so let's get into the last part of the reading. The fourth card here is saying how to address this. And again, I mean, the guidance really could not be clearer, because we have the Five of Cups coming up in the reverse as well, along with that Three of Swords. So again, when you see these cards like this, it's sort of like past betrayals, right? Disappointments, etc. And the figure in the card is ruminating over those things. They're ruminating over the Three Cups spilled down here in the background and not paying attention to the Two Cups standing upright in the future. But luckily for us, we're not falling prey to that sort of mentality, right? That is a self-sabotage mentality, and we're coming out of that. So again, this is sort of saying, or if you are sort of, you know, feeling upset or disappointed about things that may have happened for you in the past, you know, you have to learn from them, right? The love in those past disappointments is in the lesson. But then ultimately you have to figure out how to move forward to these Two Cups, how to see your way forward through to whatever it is that's something new. And you have to decide, you know, to do that. And it says here, the benefit of addressing that, again, I'm sort of getting double meanings. We have the Three of Cups here in reverse. So, you know, I am getting that it is possible that, you know, this is tied to maybe the breaking down of relationships, or like a certain relationship dynamic. And specifically with regard to the latter, what I mean is like a third party situation. So at its most extreme, third party is, you know, infidelity. At, you know, on the sort of lower extreme of it, it's, you know, something or some kind of energy, something or someone meddling in a relationship. So again, it doesn't have to be romantic, it could be a work thing, but you know, perhaps it was that you just didn't have balance in your home life and your work life, and so that's coming to an end. Conversely, whatever these changes are that are coming to fruition, I am strongly getting that it is going to be Three of Cups in the celebratory way, right? That you're going to sort of be celebrating the relationships that it is that you do maintain, the friends and family that you do really love, the things that you really do love to do. You know, as we cut out whatever isn't for us, that just makes more room for what is, for what really does bring us happiness. So we have here coming out at the end of the spread, how you'll thrive. And we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is the slowest moving knight of the deck, but this is all about, you know, sowing new seeds, new foundation, starting something new. This could even be someone coming in with some kind of offer or an opportunity for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily or work related. It could be a relationship, romantic, you know, a friendship. It could be, you know, extending an olive branch in, you know, a relationship, a friendship, or a family dynamic that has been difficult, that kind of thing. And then finally, at the bottom of the spread here, we have the Empress card. So what I'm strongly getting with this Knight of Pentacles and the Empress is that, you know, whatever it is that, you know, and this could be you offering to someone else or someone else offering to you, but whatever it is, this is really going to help you or the situation or the dynamic to grow and to flourish into what exactly that it should be, you know? So again, no matter where you are on the spectrum, just remember to trust and believe in the power of your own path. You know, I think if I title this video, I'm going to call it that, the power of your own path, because we each have one, and each of our experiences are beautiful in and of their own right. If we can see the love and the light in each of the lessons, in each of the, yeah, in each of the lessons essentially. So I think on that note, it's like getting very hot in my apartment. I had to turn off the AC. And this is again a little longer than most of the videos that I've been posting, but I hope you really like this video. If you do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.